What male tennis players really think of equal payment for women. The gender pay gap isn't a new topic that requires the world's attention. It has been a topic for consideration since the 1970s, but yet has always been overlooked. It has been observed that female athletes are paid less than male players, and it has taken a long time for the sport to give women equal wages as men, but there are still cases where women are not paid well like men. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the typical American woman makes 81% of what an average American male earns, and for more than a decade, this dramatic difference has remained unchanged. The salary gap between men and women has been from 80% to around 83% since 2004. Welcome to Rally Rackets, and in this video, let's talk about what male tennis players really think of equal payment for women. 34.32%. Yes, you heard it right. 34.32% is the difference between the earnings made by male and female tennis players. According to PayScale, the disparity varies by industry. While on one hand, the legal profession has the largest discrepancy at 64%, on the other hand, arts, entertainment, and sports have a gap of 94%. While this is encouraging news for supporters of equal pay, there is still work to be done, particularly in professional sports. Male athletes in basketball, golf, soccer, baseball, and tennis make anywhere from 15% to nearly 100% more than female athletes, regardless of whether they get professional wages or individual prize money from contests. While women's pay has risen over the last decade, the pay disparity persists even among the world's highest-paid athletes. In an interview, after claiming victory at the BNP Paribas Open in Indian Wells, 11-time major winner Novak Djokovic said the men's tennis tour should fight for more. You might think, what is the reason behind those words, right? Further, he explains his comments by stating how women have been driven out of war and have eventually succeeded in accomplishing what they set for. However, the prize should have been distributed merely based on who attracted the audience more and who sells more tickets. What you think about his criteria seems fair or not? It is also seen that men have more audience than women, so will that be a proper criterion? And later on, it was mentioned that there has been equal prize money in all four majors, the Australian Open, US Open, French Open, and Wimbledon. Since 2007, men and women get paid equally at Masters events like Indian Wells and Miami, as well as the Grand Slam, who has been a just and commendable platform for the female players that gives them equal pay as male tennis players. However, it is observed that women players have a considerable pay gap as compared to the male players who play at the same level. In an interview a former player from South Africa said, "If I was a lady player, I would go down every night on my knees and thank God for Roger Federer and Rafa Nadal's births, since they have moved the sport's legacy. They really have." By that statement, anyone would be overwhelmed, so the world champion Serena Williams stood up all by herself and said Moore's statement was offensive, calling it mistaken and very inaccurate. As a sexist comment, Williams, 34, commented, "There's only one way to interpret that. Get down on your knees, which is already disrespectful enough, and thank a male." Williams, 34, said, "We shouldn't have to drop to our knees at any point." That really does sound like a sexist comment, and he later on apologized for the erroneous remarks. But is that really what men athletes do think about equal pay for women? Because just a simple apologetic gesture from the player doesn't imply that grave sexism doesn't exist. It may persist in the minds of numerous other players who haven't given out their word yet. As also observed in our modern tennis players, such as world number 5 Tsitsipas himself when he raised eyebrows in Miami as he made the comments about equal pay and number of sets. In the context of which Naomi Osaka has given her reaction to Tsitsipas by quoting, "This guy is so funny, man." Stefanos Tsitsipas after he suggested that women's matches could be best of 5 sets. On which Tsitsipas was quoted by saying, "I don't want to be controversial or anything. There is also the topic of equal pay and everything, women getting equal pay for playing best of 3, then getting equal pay for playing best of 5. Let us now compare the men's and women's pay and audience from the 20th century till now. In 1970, Billie Jean King was awarded $600, while on the other hand her male counterpart, Ilie Nastas, was awarded $3,500 at the Italian Open. After 2 years in 1972, Billie Jean King was awarded $10,000, while Ilie Nastase was awarded $25,000 at the U.S. Open. Later on, she threatened to boycott the U.S. Open due to unequal pay, which had helped a bit for women's pay. In 1995, it was reported that the Australian Open stopped giving equal prize money due to a lack of interest in women's tennis. After that, it was seen in 2015 U.S. women's soccer team won the 2015 FIFA World Cup and collectively received $6 million less than the U.S. men's soccer team, which lost the match in the first round of knockouts and created a bit of chaos too. Excluding the Grand Slams, 395 million watched the WTA Premier events and finals on TV and digital, compared with 973 million for ATP events. The Wimbledon men's final attracted a total audience of 9.2 million viewers compared to the 4.3 million recorded for the women's final. During the U.S. Open season, the men's final drew 3.3 million viewers compared with 1.6 million for the women's final. However, the U.S. Open men's final had fewer viewers than women, and women had a huge and more supportive audience this time than in the previous 2 years. The stats around the viewership of a particular sport may seem like a pointless comparison, but looking at the picture with a broad view, the mere discrimination among the viewers is also observed. Men's finals generally garner more ticket sales than women's finals, as audiences like to see men's finals even though both of them are equally more intense, but they prefer to watch men's matches more. However, this debate could go on, but 2015 was an exception. This is when the tickets for the U.S. Open women's final sold out before the men's ones, which was an eye-opening record. If we are comparing wages, then Djokovic earned $21 million, £14.5 million in prize money last year, compared with Williams' $10.5 million, £7.3 million. But the two 10th highest earners, Jo-Wilfried Tsonga and Roberta Vinci, both earned $2.2 million, £1.5 million. Well, don't be shocked to know the salary gap of the two prominent title holders on the court of tennis, Roger Federer and Serena Williams, who dedicated their lives to tennis, just ended up with a large difference in their salaries because of the gender they hold. This might sound shocking and frustrating to Serena's fans after they find out that the two players have a pay gap of a whopping amount of $236,000. No shock that there was not a single woman who was listed in Forbes' 100 highest paid athletes in 2018. Women's tennis began around the 1860s, and yet after almost 160 years, women are not paid as equal as men. Why does the Tennis Association not change its old age thinking in the 21st century, where we're talking about giving equal rights to the people of the third gender? The controversies revolving around this debate may be never-ending, but the Tennis Association should soon take some action to give women the rights they deserve. Perhaps if a female player decides to consider a career in sports management, if she aspires to strive for more equitable athlete pay or better overall remuneration for athletes, managers, owners, and other administrators can regulate how much players should be paid. Agents can fight for more equitable pay and benefits. Sports marketers may also increase income and support by attracting more fans to a league or athlete. Generally, men are awarded higher prize money in sports and athletics, but we guess that Novak Djokovic has a different point of view. He still questions the distribution systems and asks for more pay for men, since he quotes that male players attract more audience as compared to female players, benefiting the association. While on the contrary, reality and practicality in today's times favor the opposite directions. So it can be observed that skilled and professional players such as Serena Williams and Naomi Osaka are paid less than men. Though they come under high-paid athletes, are they still getting the pay that they deserve?